Now today I just wanted to share with you my favorite lens for video when shooting with the Canon M6 Mark II. If you're new to the channel, I'm currently doing a series of 100 videos on the M6 Mark II and the EFM lens system. So if that's something you're into, be sure to stay tuned to the channel because I've got a lot more content like this coming up. Now when I say favorite lens, it doesn't mean it's the best lens or the sharpest lens or the smoothest lens. It just means of all the things that I need for video and the type of video shooting that I do, it seems to meet all of those criteria and all of my personal requirements the best. And just to give you an example, when people talk about the best lens, often they get obsessed with image sharpness. And I understand that, and in a lot of situations I feel the same way. But if we're talking about this camera system and we want the absolute sharpest image on a zoom lens, I've got the lens right here that I would normally use. I only use it in situations where image sharpness is more important than any of my other criteria for a video lens, and particularly where portability and normal usability and functionality of the lens doesn't matter. And that is the Sigma 18-35 1.8, and as you can see, it is an absolutely massive lens. And if you're using one of these EFM cameras and you throw this giant lens on it, not only is it completely awkward and not very portable, but it's so conspicuous that it ruins one of the great qualities of this EFM lens system and the EOS M bodies, and that's the fact that they're really inconspicuous. You walk around with this thing on the front of your camera body, and you definitely look like you have a Canon, more in the traditional sense of a Canon. So that brings me to my point, what is my wish list? What are my requirements for a good video lens? And I'm going to sort of take you through that now and just let you know how this lens seems to tick so many boxes for me. Even if it's not as sharp as the Sigma 18-35 1.8, it is so good in so many ways that it just ticks so many boxes that I've just found over the years, even with my M50. It's just the lens I go for when I know I'm primarily shooting video and I'm going to be out all day in a number of different situations. The first thing is I want it to be a native lens. I want it to be made to work with the camera. I want to make sure that I've got no adapter or extra pieces I have to use, and it is designed to work with the M6 Mark II or the M50 or whichever of the EOS M cameras that I'm using. Number two, I want completely silent autofocus. I don't want any noise messing up my video. I don't want anything that you really can detect on the internal or external microphone, just in case I don't have an external microphone on the camera. So completely silent autofocus motor. Number three, I want it to be small. One of the great advantages of these EOS M cameras is their size and how they're inconspicuous. You can throw them in a bag, or you can take them on a hike, or you can take them to a birthday party, and you don't look like a professional photographer. That small lens size is really, really important to me, so I want it to be a reasonably small lens. And number four, I need it to have a useful focal range. I want it to be something that I can take one lens out all day and cover most situations. I want it wide enough that I can get the big picture when I need to, and I want to be able to zoom in enough that I can isolate a subject or do portraits or do sort of portrait style shots. The fifth requirement is I want good build quality. I want a metal lens mount. I want something that's reasonably robust that can take a couple of bumps. I want something that I'm not too worried about if the kids are handling it. I want something I can take on a hike. I don't have to baby. I know it's not going to be bulletproof, but I want something that is a reasonably tough, robust lens. And I want a super smooth zoom ring. So I want to be able to zoom in and out when I'm in video mode, and I want that to be really smooth. I want to have a lot of control over it. I want to go slow if I want to. I want to go as fast as I want to. And I don't want that jerkiness that you sometimes get with some of the lenses. And this lens has probably the smoothest zooming of any of the lenses in the EFM system. And of course, I want good image quality. I want really, really good image quality. But the one thing to keep in mind when you're shooting video is when you're shooting photos on the M6 Mark II or the M50, with the M6 Mark II, you're resolving 32.5 megapixels when you're taking photos. With the M50, you're resolving 24 megapixels. But when you're doing video, when you're doing 4K video, we're only talking about 8 megapixels that we're trying to resolve. So the camera takes that 32 megapixel sensor and brings it down into 8 megapixels to make each frame of the 4K video. So we don't need the ultimate sharpness like we might when we're taking photos. We just need really, really good image quality, but we don't need the sharpest, ultra sharp image quality. And finally, wouldn't it be great if we could get all these things, all these qualities in one lens and it didn't break the bank? Well, that's what this lens does. It ticks all my boxes for a video lens for the M6 Mark II, and I only paid $100 for it. And if you go on eBay and look for them used, you can find stacks and stacks of these lenses, sometimes in as new condition, for around $100. Which to me, if you're primarily a video shooter, and whether you're shooting on the M6 Mark II or the M50, I think this lens is an absolute no-brainer. So, what's the lens? What is my favorite lens for video? It's the EFM 18-55 kit lens that came with the old EOS M camera and some of the earlier cameras in this system. And because of that, a lot of those cameras have gotten to the point where people aren't interested in them anymore, or they have very little value. And these lenses show up sometimes with cameras attached to them, sometimes on their own, for around the $100 mark on eBay. So if you've got the M6 Mark II or the M50 and you're primarily a video shooter, I highly recommend picking up a Canon EFM 18-55 on eBay for $100. Hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.